Friends, families and foes. Well, not really the last one, but if these are the kind of people you like to travel with, an MPV is what you seek. And now Maruti Suzuki has launched the second generation of the Ertiga, which is bigger in every dimension. It's longer by 99 mm, taller by 5 mm and is wider by 40 mm. There's a lot that is new on this car, and in today's video I'm going to tell you all about it. Straight off the bat, let me tell you that the design sees a big improvement and there are a lot of inspirations. So these headlights might remind you of the Innova Krista. Meanwhile, the way the headlight merges with the grille might remind you of BMW cars. And this chrome-studded grille will remind you of the recent Mahindra XUV 500. The bonnet has been raised as well. Meanwhile, at the front, it kind of looks a lot fresh yet purposeful as well. At the side, there are revisions as well, which might remind you of the Honda BR-V and the Mobilio. There's a lot of glass area, especially in the second row. The only gripe is that the wheels, which are 15 inches, are kind of small for this body size. The rear has been completely refreshed as well, and it gets these split tail lights, which might remind you of the Skoda Kodiaq as well as the Honda CR-V, Honda Jazz, and even some Volvo cars. However, that said, this car does tend to look a lot fresher now and definitely has a lot of presence on the road. The front row of the second generation Ertiga is wider by 50 mm. The dashboard looks really nice, but it will remind you of the Toyota Innova Krista, and these continuous AC vents, well, they might remind you of certain Audi cars as well. Multiple colors have been used on the dashboard. They look really nice as well. In fact, there's wood trim in the center, and overall the cabin does look upmarket now. The only thing which will remind you of the old Ertiga are the switchgear. Meanwhile, there are some hard plastics on the lower half of the dashboard. This car has plenty of storage spaces. In fact, all the doors can easily accommodate a 1 liter bottle. The front center armrest also has space below it, and at the front, below the center console, there's space to keep a mobile phone, and right ahead of it, there are also twin cup holders with a cooling function. There's also a nice storage space right below the traction control button. Meanwhile, the glove box isn't very large but is quite usable. The front seats are very supportive and offer good cushioning, and there's plenty of headroom as well. This car is loaded with a ton of features, right from passive entry, push button start. It also gets a 7-inch Smart Play touchscreen infotainment system, which gets Apple CarPlay as well as Android Auto connectivity. There's also navigation. It gets a reverse parking camera. There are reverse parking sensors as well, and it also gets steering mounted audio controls as well as phone controls. The Ertiga now gets climate control air conditioning, and there's a power socket in all the 3 rows of this car. There's a slight difference in the multi-information display of the petrol and diesel models. The multi-information display on the instrument cluster will also tell you exactly which door of the vehicle is open in a graphic format. This car also gets a flat bottom steering wheel, which is similar to the one which we see in the Swift or the Dzire. The petrol automatic also gets ESP as well as hill start assist. The Ertiga now complies with upcoming safety regulations, which means that at the front you get seatbelt reminders, and once you cross 80 km/h there's going to be a beep, and once you cross 120 km/h there's going to be a continuous beep. This car is equipped with dual airbags as standard across the range. It also gets ABS and projector headlights as standard across all the 10 variants. However, the Ertiga misses out on certain features. For instance, it doesn't get automatic headlights, which is present in the Swift. Neither does it get automatic wipers, which is present in the Ciaz. It also misses out on an auto dimming inside rear view mirror. The Ertiga shares its keys with almost all other Maruti cars. However, it now gets a blue finishing on the front side, which kind of looks different. Another missing feature in the Ertiga is the fact that the automatic variants are not available in the top spec trim, which means that it misses out on a touchscreen infotainment system, which is kind of disappointing. However, the audio quality is quite good in this vehicle. The doors of the Ertiga are massive. Now this is the minimum legroom of course, and this is the maximum legroom. Now there's good amount of space over here in the second row. In fact, there's good amount of knee room as well as legroom, and headroom is also in plenty. And because the seat is so long, under thigh support is better than average as well. You only get 2 headrests in the second row, but there's a center armrest as well. It misses out on cup holders, but there is some amount of space to keep your smartphone right there. The width of the second row has increased by 21 mm, and this row also reclines by quite a degree to improve the comfort in the second row. But there are no AC vents over here. There are 4 vents over here on the top with blower controls. This is actually for the fan. Due to the beige seats in this car and on the door pads as well, it gives it a very airy feeling, which is accentuated by the fact that the window area is just massive in the second row. Getting into the third row is easier. All you need to do is press this button and you can slide this seat forward. It's a slight climb inside, and there we are. So now usually this seat will be placed in this position, and as you can see, with the seat position for someone to sit ahead, there is no knee room for me over here. Meanwhile, headroom is also at a premium because my hair is almost touching the roof. Meanwhile, the width at the third row has increased by 34 mm. However, as you can see, there's not much under thigh support, and this isn't a place for tall passengers. It's mainly for kids. The good news is that there's a bottle holder over here, actually on both the sides, and you can also recline this seat. It is reclined right now, but press this button and it moves forward. So yeah, you can sit upright to improve the boot space. The boot of the Ertiga offers decent amount of space with all the 3 rows up. In fact, there's a cubby hole below as well on both sides, which means that you can store nicks and knacks. Meanwhile, this seat can be pushed forward and reclined 50-50 split. And look at the luggage, you can carry a lot. Want to move house? Well, the second row also splits forward in 60-40. The Ertiga petrol is powered by a new 1.5-litre petrol engine which is shared with the Ciaz facelift. This motor gets the second generation smart hybrid technology. The SHVS system does 3 things: idle stop start, regenerative braking and torque assist. It gets 2 batteries, one is the traditional battery and the other is a lithium ion unit. This petrol engine is extremely refined. It builds power in a very linear fashion, and as you keep revving it, it keeps getting more vocal. In fact, in the top end, it really screams. The mid-range is decent, and this one redlines around 6000 RPM. The manual is much better to drive because it feels punchier. The manual gearbox is itself very smooth shifting, and the clutch is also on the lighter side. In the automatic, it uses an old school 4-speed torque converter, which is not very quick with shifts, and you don't even have any manual mode as such. Yes, you can get into lower gears by using the L and 2 modes on the gear lever. Now you cannot take manual control of things in the petrol automatic. There are no paddle shifters, there is no Tiptronic function either, and it's the SHVS system which actually boosts the mileage of this vehicle, which is kind of frugal for an MPV of this size with a 1.5-litre petrol engine. Since the multi-information display comes from the Baleno, you also get this active power and torque meters in a graphic format which actually tells you how much power and torque is being used in real time, which is kind of cool. And overall performance is decent. If you don't drive it spiritedly, the Ertiga petrol automatic will please you with its convenience. However, if you like driving, it is definitely the petrol manual which offers more performance and an engaging drive. Maruti has carried over the diesel engine in the Ertiga. It's the same 1.3-litre unit which produces 90 horsepower and 200 Nm of torque. It doesn't use the second generation smart hybrid system, it uses the first generation smart hybrid system, thus it doesn't get a lithium ion battery. In the updated Ertiga, the refinement has slightly improved on this motor. However, there is turbo lag lower down, which means you have to push this engine in the mid-range, where it offers decent amount of performance. The oil burner in the Ertiga by diesel standards is a very high revving unit going past 5000 RPM. It is also a very frugal engine, returning a mileage between 16 to 20 km per litre. The second generation Ertiga shares its platform with the Swift and Desire. This is the 5th generation of the hardtech platform, which gets 39% high tensile steel. This car's ride and handling balance is very good indeed. It is a front wheel drive with a monocoque chassis, which means that it is easy to drive, easy to park, and definitely the steering is also on the lighter side. However, at speed the steering just doesn't weigh up, and although body roll is well contained, this isn't a vehicle you would like to push hard and fast around corners because the suspension is on the softer side. But the softer suspension also gives it a very good ride. In fact, ride quality is simply phenomenal. This car rides very smoothly on Indian roads. It's only at the rear there's some amount of bounciness. While the Ertiga doesn't get rear discs, the brakes offer good stopping power. There's positive bite on the pedal as well. Many people actually wonder how safe are Maruti cars. We all know that the Vitara Brezza got a 4-star NCAP rating. Meanwhile, the Swift didn't perform that well. It got a 2-star NCAP rating. Now, the Ertiga hasn't been tested, but it complies with all Indian regulations. The second generation Ertiga hasn't been tested by the NCAP yet, but we expect it to perform reasonably well. And until the results are out, we really can't comment. The second generation Ertiga isn't available with a CNG option just yet, but Maruti will launch it next year, and there might be a diesel automatic as well. When the Ertiga was launched in 2012, it filled a void in the market because there was not an affordable and easy to drive MPV, and the Ertiga did quite well over there. This car has improved leaps and bounds. The performance is great, there's good amount of features on offer, and there's good space as well. Most importantly, it's a very frugal car. It's easy to drive, and the ride quality is also very nice. In fact, if you're looking for a value for money MPV, there is nothing which even comes close to the Ertiga, because this is by far the most attractively priced people mover.